F1's back. F1 fans, I don't know what the hell's going on with Nick's screen, but welcome back to Hitting the
Wait,
Apex.
what is going on there?
That is a major DNF right there.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
talk
know how
about
else
it.
to
Talk
explain
about
it.
DNFs. That's a big.
That is a
yeah.
major DNF. Right?
There
Now he's
he
back.
is.
There he is.
I don't know what
Daniel
happened there.
Ricardo.
I'm trying to tweet this thing out for you guys, so you got to give me a second here.
You don't have a phone? What's going on here?
I am on my phone.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyways, what's going on, fellas?
The
After
DRS wasn't working for Nick.
after a pretty exciting Spanish Grand Prix with a lot of things going on, we turn around and we've got another one right, which is another exciting GP in the Monaco Grand Prix. Just that's a joke, by the way, but
Watch qualifying. That's the important part.
qualifying is going to be exciting. That's probably going to be the most exciting part. But hey, either way, you never know. Stranger things have happened. There's been a lot of chaos before in the Monaco Grand Prix, so who knows? However, let's kind of recap real quick the Spanish Grand Prix, see what's going, see what happened there. Obviously, we all know some of the biggest storylines. Leclerc's DNF with that new power unit. Again, a strong finish by the Red Bulls with P1 and P2, and the resurgence a little bit of that Mercedes, man, as Mr. Russell finishes on the podium once again for the second time this year, and the GOAT ends up in the top 5 again. So, which, listen, I know a lot of things could have happened there, but definitely want to get everybody's kind of summary on what they felt about the Spanish Grand Prix, and we'll review the predictions right after. We'll start off with you, Manny. What's going on? How do you feel about that Spanish GP?
Wow. Where to begin, right? I mean, I would probably say not even going around one lap, you already had an issue, right, with Haas and with Lewis Hamilton there, and then with him saying, I think we should save the car. I mean, there's just so much happened within there. And then I think within 5 to 10 laps, you had the spin of Carlos Sainz. Then Max happened to spin in the same area. And you're thinking to yourself, man, like Charles Leclerc might end up having another race like it did in Australia, basically, right? It's just basically him up front, and that's basically it. And then you see the wonderful battle back and forth between both Red Bulls and, George Russell. It had a little bit of everything. Now, I was probably wanting more in retrospect, I was wanting more from Sainz. Obviously, though, again, man, the man just has, at this point, I don't know if it's bad luck. It just feels like maybe he's pressing. But again, Max did have the same thing happen to him, but that's Max, right? Like, that's not, Sainz. And then, of course, man, it's just unfortunate for, Ferrari, man. Listen, Charles Leclerc, their car, we talked about, we wanted to see how the Ferrari battle with Red Bull was going to take place. We were expecting Ferrari with the upgrades, especially heading 2 weeks into this race, for them to show again that they have it. And to me, they did show it. The unfortunate part was that his car, what was it? He lost power and whatnot. And I thought this was the perfect opportunity for Carlos Sainz. After all the struggles, after, not having any luck, this was the perfect race. Being in his country, he had an opportunity to carry his team for once, at least, to try to, get the most points out of it. So, it didn't happen. I think Alonso finished top 10, if I remember correctly, after, struggling a little bit. Ocon finished, ahead of him. And overall, I think for Haas, I mean, who needs upgrades? I mean, let's look at Aston Bull, right? I mean, Jesus, they could even crack the top 15, I think. So overall, great race. Max still shows that he has it. If it wasn't for his, DRS, issues, he might have, gone farther with it. But to me, Charles Leclerc had that race won, guys, just like he did back in Australia. It's just, unfortunately, it was a DNF. Not to mention, it was a DNF for him where when it happened to Max wasn't leading the races, right? In this occasion, Charles Leclerc was leading the race. He was clearly going to win it, and unfortunately, he had that issue. So,
well, two things, because I want you guys to really kind of, you and Nick, really. I know me and Vish spoke about it a little. Well, we all spoke about it a little bit on Sunday, but just two things. Number one, the power unit failure was only for Leclerc because he's the only one that had it. At least for the two Reds, right? I believe that Zhou Guan Yu had the power unit as well. I'm not sure if both tested. also. But as you can see, the two, correct me if I'm wrong, Vish. You guys probably know a little bit more than me, but the two that had the new power units um, did falter, right? They both failed, so they both had issues, and they didn't finish. However, you saw that there was pace with the new upgrades for those for both, because Zhou Guanyu was actually driving really well as well. So um, that's the biggest issue I see with that one. Sainz did not have the new power unit. His when he spun out, a little bit different than Max's. Max and which, look, at the end of the day, it's not an excuse, but it kind of is. Max ended up spinning out and facing the right direction. So all you had to do was kind of put the gas on and go and keep going. Whereas Sainz spun out a little bit further and he kind of turned the opposite way. So he lost a lot more ground than Max did. Max was also more, he was, had a little bit more of a gap than some of the other people as well. So, however, it was still an exciting race. It was yes, definitely heartbreaking to see Leclerc, because I think that, although I don't think he was going to run away with it like he was, because I think that Max had such great pace as well that he probably would have, been able to kind of challenge him a little bit at the end. I still think that Leclerc, had that in the bag. Great battle between the Red Bulls and Russell, and even Hamilton. I think Hamilton had a shot to podium as well. Had some things gone right for him also. So all around pretty exciting. But listen, things are gonna have to change for Ferrari. They're gonna have to make some adjustments in order to do well. But this is the race. This is the race for them. This is the race that they need to win. And Leclerc, I think for once really truly has an advantage in this specific circuit. Your take, Nick, on the Spanish Grand Prix.
Well, probably this is one of the more exciting Spanish Grand Prix that we've seen in a while. So I'll go off the bat with that. I mean, right from the get go, the first there was some trouble with Magnussen and Hamilton. They kind of bumped into each other, and that pretty much ended Haas's chances in staying in the top 10. And then, Hamilton, he kind of crept back in throughout the race, with probably through pit stops and also just maintaining the engine, even though, like Manny said, he was like, let's just not even risk the engine, let's just kind of cap it here. But yeah, I mean, Hamilton, he was at P20 at one point and finished in P5. So I mean, he did another GOAT thing like Hamilton does. But I think probably one thing that really struck me was the fact that everything okay, guys?
Yeah, we're good, man.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
It's a running joke that started on our Kane show. The Canes baseball team is playing, and Jeff and I are not as focused as normal. So let's just leave it there.
If you see me doing this, it's because there's the game's on behind me. But no, I'm paying attention. I promise.
Everyone is giggling like they know a secret that I don't. So,
well, if you watch the Kane show, like you should have done your duty and watched it. You would know why Ferdy is making fun of you right now. So,
no, Daniel Ricciardo did not finish P10. No.
Go ahead, Nick. My bad. Our bad.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that Carlos Sainz, finished what? I think he finished in P4. Was it P4?
Yeah, P4.
Yeah. The fact that he couldn't even podium at his home race, and the fact that after Leclerc went down, he really could have taken advantage of that and really kind of pushed to be back up in that top 3. That was disappointing for me. And also the fact that Norris, who was racing sick, pretty much finished in the top 10 after starting outside of the top 10, while Ricciardo was in the top 10 and finished outside the top 10. I think he finished in P12, P13 or something like that. So that was also disappointing for me, but that's just coming from me as a McLaren fan. But other than that, I mean, yeah, the race was good. We had some exciting moments. Russell doing his Minister of Defense stuff, against Max and also against Sergio for a while. That was really good to see. It was good, solid racing, clean racing also. But yeah, other than that, it was a pretty solid race.
Vish, really quick, your take, and then we'll go into you break.
Yeah, I think the class of the field showed, and it was Max with a broken car running away with the race. Like his DRS didn't work, and didn't matter. He smoked everyone. He was up a full pit stop when he backed off towards the end, which, there was that whole thing. We'll probably talk about this a little bit later about how Checo was mad they told him to move over. He was a pit stop behind. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, yeah, move over. And I think one of the things that happened, here is because it ended up being a 3-stop race, a lot of the strategy, ended up getting thrown out. So actually some of the cars that started further back got an advantage because they ended up hitting it. It actually lent itself to running longer on the first stint, and then you can use the shorter sessions later in the race. And when it became a 3-stop, it actually helped. So Max's pit stops were actually out of sequence too, because he pitted early because of his DRS problem, and still pulled away. The Mercedes upgrades look like they worked. And they're still not as fast as the top 2 teams. So that's, where's that next jump going to come where they can actually compete up front? But also we love Carlos Sainz on the show. I think we need to all mentally prepare ourselves for the fact that he's not capable of performing in a team that's at the top of the field. And, some drivers are not capable of doing that. They're fine. Gasly's a great example. He won a race in an AlphaTauri and not a Red Bull, right? There's some drivers that are good, in a middle of the field team where they're able to put in those occasional performances and be like, wow, that was a great drive in that car, but they can't consistently do it. And there's no more excuses for Sainz. This is embarrassing.
Can I say something? I'm glad that you mentioned Gasly because I think he's sneaky, really, really good. He's a sneaky good driver. And yeah, he had bad luck at Red Bull, right?
It wasn't bad luck. He was bad there. He could not handle the pressure.
Yes, I get it. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, like, he wasn't at his best there, but I still think he's a lot better driver than what he showed at Red Bull. And you see, he drives well in that.
Right, and I guess that's my point.
I think he's better than people think he is.
Yeah, and I think that's my point. Sainz is a lot better driver than he's shown this year.
Absolutely,
he was better. He was a better driver than this last year. He beat Leclerc last year.
Yep.
But now that the car is at the championship level, he's not handling it. And there's no evidence he can at this point.
Yep.
So I know we all really like Carlos Sainz on the show. He's got to show something. This is getting to the point of embarrassment. Look, like even starting in qualifying, Max had car trouble all weekend. His engine lost power. He couldn't do his run in optimal conditions. His lap time that got him to second was done in suboptimal conditions. Sainz couldn't even beat that lap time on a better track. Like, you got to do better than that.
This is his home track too. Like, he knows he's got to know this one like the back of his hand. So,
guys, but am I wrong to think though that he missed such a great opportunity with his teammate getting, issues out of the race? To me, this.
I don't know, because he still had a bad start anyways. Like, he had a bad start again.
Yeah, you're right.
So I don't think he would have had a shot.
Yeah, and again, that's another. He engaged the anti-stall and messed his startup, and in a way, actually, that hurt Hamilton. Because first of all, Mercedes, like, why'd you start Hamilton on the mediums? He's the only driver that did not start that was off on a separate compound. So, but because Sainz's start was so bad, Hamilton, even on the crappier tires, got in front of him, and he ended up dueling with him, and that's when he lost that momentum and allowed, I don't know what Magnussen was doing, but his attempted, I'm going to sweep around the outside of this Mercedes here in my bucket called a Haas and make this pass. This is definitely going to happen, man. I'm going to sweep around the outside.
And then blame it on Hamilton.
Yeah, and blame it on him because I hit him. Yeah, that's happening. But all of that kind of happened because they started him on the wrong tire. But if they had started Hamilton on the right tire, he would have breezed past Sainz and been right up there already from the beginning. So a little mistake there for Mercedes strategy-wise, but it's another just mental error. Like, Sainz made several to start the race. He did that, and then obviously he spun too.
Look, and I'll still give him some credit because he had a nice recovery, right?
Did he though? Because Max spun and then pulled away and won the race easily.
Yeah, but Max
with a broken car.
He was still in a different position, Vish. He was first of all, he's facing the track.
Okay, all right. So
that's number one. And number two, he was still, his gap was a lot more.
Yeah, but I wonder where that gap came from.
Well, because
he opened it.
It's faster. Yeah.
But
Of
here,
course
but
he
here,
did, but I'm not arguing that with you.
here's
I'm
what
still-
I'll say though. There's
Is
two.
it not a good recovery race coming from 19th or 20th, wherever he was, to
He
4th?
was not 20th.
Where was he? Where was he? He was 19th, I think.
No,
19th, I think.
Yeah, he was 19th,
Right.
and he ended up in
Because
4th.
Magnussen stayed at
no,
20.
no. You're talking about Hamilton.
Talking about Hamilton.
You're talking about Sainz. Sainz
I'm
did not
talking
drop
about
out.
Sainz.
No, Sainz only dropped back like a few places when he spun.
I think
The field was already
he
spread
ended up
out.
in eighth.
Yeah, he
he
didn't
was
drop
there.
all the way back. And
He was
actually,
definitely further back than that. He was further back than 8th.
He was further back than that.
I don't think so.
I guarantee you he was. He was out of the top 10. He was out of the top 10.
But I guess
Up right now.
so. I don't think he dropped far that back. But also, I mean, you could see Verstappen did a similar spin, ended up winning the race easily. Hamilton got punted off, broke his car, had to limp her into the pits, came out not only in 19th, as Manny said, but 19th and way off the back of the field. Charged all the way up to the point he passed Sainz until his car broke in. Like, what is Sainz doing? How is that even? How did that happen? How did Hamilton end up in front of him at the end of this race? Like, what is happening? It's almost like getting lapped because Hamilton lost a lap. I mean, that's bad.
Nick, we can't hear you. What'd you say?
No, I said I mean at least he got it back from Hamilton after the engine crapped out for Mercedes at the end.
Well, yeah. I mean, at that point, if he doesn't do that, then there's a
yeah. I mean that, but I guess that was my point. He did get it back because the engine crapped out. But how is it even possible that Hamilton came back up to cat?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You're right on that. I think
I don't know what happened. Then tell me why did that happen?
So I think it's in Sainz's head. He messed the start up. He lost focus. It caused the spin, and then he didn't put the laps in. He was off the pace after that.
Sainz was in 5th when he spun. So Sainz was in 5th when he spun. I'm looking at the live race right now. When he got back on finally, he was battling Yoshi, so he ended up falling to 11th. There we go, 11th. Yep.
Yoshi.
So he got in between both AlphaTauris. Yep, 11th.
He meant Yuki. Yoshi is the guy from Mario.
Yes,
Brothers.
Yuki. I'm sorry, Yuki. Yeah, sorry, wrong.
Yoshi's the guy from Mario Brothers. All right, get it together.
Hey, I was trying to look for this.
Yeah, it's still disappointing. Whichever way you spin it, regardless of whether he recovered or it was a disappointing race for Sainz.
Don't worry, Sainz can spin it. So whichever way you want to spin it, Sainz will do it.
Whichever way. Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
You're fucking vicious through gas.
Vish is good at that, man.
Bro, Vish has his game face on right now, man. He can't wait for this game to be over with. He's tired. He just wants to.
Hey, man.
Awesome. 4 outs and we're done here.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Sounds like fun. Anyways, predictions really quick before we get into the Monaco GP. Manny, Sainz, Verstappen, and Russell. The only thing you got right there was Russell. Mags in the top 10. You missed out on that also.
That's all that matters.
That's all right. Yeah, it's not too bad. Could be worse. Moni's not here, but she had Max, Sainz, and Lando. Max is the only one she got right. Hamilton in the top 5, so she got that. So that was good. Nick, Max, Sainz, and Hamilton. Only got Max right, but you got the surprise right. Leclerc did not finish. So good job there. Vish, Leclerc, Sainz, and Max. None of the above were right.
I trusted your team, Jazz, and they just came. They said, F you, man. That's what they said to me, right in my face.
I'm sorry. Ocon, top 5. Tampoco. And then Jazz, Leclerc, Max, and Sainz didn't get crap right either. Russell, DNF. Close, but no cigar. So the winner, I'm going to give it to Nick because he got a Leclerc DNF. So
right,
I'll give him that one.
Damn you, Haas.
And he got Max. So.
Damn you, Haas.
Moving along. But before we move along, let's give a shout out to our sponsors. What do you say, Manny?
Let's do it.
Good idea. All right, let's do it. What the hell? You Break Will Fix is our official sponsor for the for hitting the apex. You Break Will Fix repairs damaged wheels from curb rash, cracks, or bends, all under one roof with house powder coating, CNC machining, and polishing. They also offer new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands such as Vossen, Forgiato, Fuel, Off-Road. They now even offer no credit check financing up to $5,000 for a new set of wheels. Fast turnaround times on all the repairs, and they even provide loaner wheels in many cases. U-Brake Wheel Fix is your total automotive wheel solution located in North Miami, right off of Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 146th Street. Check them out. That they do some really great work across all social media platforms, from Instagram to Facebook. It's at U-Brake Wheel Fix. So the letter U, brake wheel, like the wheel, fix, at U-Brake Wheel Fix, or online at ubrakewheelfix.com. You can even give them a call, 305-748-0112. And again, schedule your appointment today. U-Brake Wheel Fix, changing the way you see wheels. Moving along to an epic race, right? One of the longest standing races, if I'm not mistaken. It's the Monaco Grand Prix. Some say I don't know what the heck happened there, but I heard someone scream, and I'm sorry that it threw me off. Where are we at?
It's definitely not the Kane scoring. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I completely got thrown off there. But anyways,
you're talking about how Monaco is all about the pageantry, the show, and not the race. But unlike Miami, Europeans won't spend the entire week bitching about it. That's what you're getting to. All right,
correct. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. All about pageantry. All about, as you can see, all the celebrities are over there too, hanging out, man. Anyways, 1950 is the first Grand Prix. Number of laps. This is one of the longer ones, right? 78 laps. Lap record. Whatever, Lewis Hamilton 2021 actually. So it's a faster circuit, I guess, because there's not much competing, if you ask me, right? As far as, overtakes and things like that. Only one DRS, if I'm not mistaken, only one DRS detection zone in this one. And like I said, not much overtaking opportunities in this race. Really, a lot of the times, if you get pole, you win the race, right? That's happened a lot of times. So looking for the same outcome this time. So it's going to be really important, as Vish said earlier. Make sure you guys watch qualifying, because the qualifying, I think, is going to say a lot. This is, again, an opportunity for the Reds, because they have been doing really well in qualifying. And to be quite honest with you, Max has had his issues, and so all of Red Bull has had their issues in qualifying. This is an opportunity for them to once again sit on the pole and compete and win. However, it's going to end up being, can the reliability of Ferrari hold together, especially for Leclerc, because he's the one with the new power unit, which, according to some, they stripped it down to try to figure out what was going on. I know Jack Daniels, our good friend there, posted something a little earlier in regards to them having to, I believe, use a new engine or whatever. We can talk about that. However, how do you guys feel about the Monaco Grand Prix? We'll start with you, Vish.
I mean, like you said, it's a race that's gotten increasingly more, I would say, processional, just because the cars keep getting wider. The track can't. And it's a problem with a lot of the older tracks. They're not meant for cars this wide. And in this one in particular, they can't wind the track at all. So pole's going to be big. This does look like a Ferrari track. It's a lot of twists and turns, which they've been faster in. So in theory, they should do well last year. If you recall, even in last year's Ferrari, Leclerc got pole, but he wrecked his car as part of that, and then wasn't able to start the race. So, and that was in a much worse car. So this does feel like we got the weather forecast coming. I put it in the Google Doc, but yeah, there is a chance of rain. So that could mix things up as well. But actually, like this race is all about track position. It's about getting your one pit stop out of the way and being as far up as possible after that, because it doesn't matter. Like we saw it in Spain, how much like the tire difference mattered. Does not matter at all here. You can be on soft tires for 50 laps. They still can't get around you. It's just too narrow. They'll just go slow behind you. There's no way around you. So it's really just, getting the pit stop at the right time. If there's an incident, figuring out. You never give up track position, though, at this track. So it's a completely different ballgame, so you can't pass.
Fernie brings up a good point, right? Yeah, the cars are heavier and there's more downforce, making them harder to handle at slower speeds. That's why Ferrari has the advantage, because of their ability to handle the corners a lot better than a lot of these other cars, because they do perform well. They've got they just run better when it comes to these type of races. Here are the tire the compound.
Just to answer Fernie's question, over under 3 safety cars. You want to go around the room, Manny? Over.
Yes, sir.
Over.
Nick.
Definitely.
Nick, you're muted. But cool, man. Awesome story.
3. Yeah, over 3.
He went push. Or
No,
he went over. He went
over.
over. Jazz?
I'm gonna go under.
Yeah, I'll go under too. So I got Latifi causing 1, and then maybe Stroll. Feels like Stroll hasn't crashed in a while.
I feel like Stroll's due for one.
Yeah, so those two, but I don't see the third
this-
one. Those two.
This feels like another Alonso.
Like
another Alonso's like a thing.
I'm gonna go under.
I'll go under with Stroll and Latifi. Now they're both slow with the backs. They might hit each other, which would just be 1. But I'm thinking 2.
You know who I'm gonna say? I'm actually gonna say I think I hate to say it because I like him, man, but I think Sonoda is one of the safety cars. I think Yuki figures out a way because he is fast and he's probably gonna maybe in the tunnel or something he'll hit a wall or something. Who knows? Anyways, yeah, I mean we'll continue on. You know, how you guys are feeling about this as far as the race details. Let's look at the tire compounds and get your takes, Nick and Vish and Manny. C3 to C5, a little bit different, right? So we saw in Barcelona C1 to C3. C3 being the softest tire, right? Now we're talking about C3 being the hardest tire here and C5 being the softest, which is technically the softest tire anyways. Why choose these 3?
Well,
Nick, we'll go with you, Nick. Yeah.
I mean, I think they want, as much speed as they can get throughout this race. Like you said, it is 78 laps. And plus, with all the corners, it really kind of slows everything down, especially I think in turn 5 or turn 6. It's the slowest corner in all of Formula One, where they're going at like maybe 20 miles an hour, if that, around that tight U-turn. And so, especially in the straights, they want to see the high speeds going through there, and they want to see good lap times. So I think, and also with what Vish said, like no matter what tires you're really on, if you are if you get a good start to the race and you're and you pit stop early, then it doesn't really matter at that point.
Well, yeah. So Manny, and I think Vish mentioned this also, right? Like you can probably go a little bit longer on some of these tires. How do you see the tires being a factor in this race altogether?
Well, I mean, I think our man Vish already gave us like a great picture of it. It's an older track, very narrow. Obviously, it's brand new vehicles, so. I think the whole point is just to make sure that you don't get into an accident. And obviously, and I think Nick even said it, they want to make sure that they see, especially in these longer straights, they want to see that fast accelerating, race going down the line. But I think overall, like if you're Ferrari, I mean, you kind of managed your tires pretty well during the race. This past weekend, you didn't do so well in qualifying or in the practice sessions, but you did pretty well with it there. So this is definitely a race where I see where Ferrari has its pure advantage there. So I don't think the tires, in a sense, will, not that it doesn't matter, but I can see them mostly be on C5s. But however, it is more laps, right? So it's all about, and also the weather. How does that factor in it, right? So
well. That's a great point that you made, Vish. These cars are going to run a higher downforce configuration, right? Because of all the twists and turns. Does that play into the event? Obviously, we've talked about Ferrari because they do run really well with this high downforce configuration. However, does this give them the advantage on a specific compound tire as well? Or do you see most of the field running on C3s, C4s, C5s? How do you see that working out? Obviously, if there's rain, then we have to bring in the intermediates or the wets. I get that, but hypothetically speaking, if the weather holds up, how do you see this race? What course you see it running based off of the tire compound?
So I'd expect everyone, like Manny touched on, start on the C5 because you don't want to have that grip issue off the line.
Correct.
Right, and to get past because you'll never get the spot back basically. So It doesn't make sense to like bank on a long run in the first, and you can stay on whoever gets out front can control the race. So I mean, you can kind of it's just going to be a cat and mouse game. It's the only passing that will probably happen in the pits. So they go for the undercut. How quickly do they do it? There's basically like the goal is you start in the softs, you get out front, you open up enough of a gap where if the car behind you pits, you can do another lap and still come out in front. And that's really just the entire goal of the race. So I think most teams will start in the C5. I think another advantage for Ferrari is they have had trouble late in stints on tires. They seem to wear them out faster. Again, less of a big deal here just because you can't pass anyway. So
well, you saw it was less of a deal in Barcelona as well, right? They looked like they were managing their tires.
Yeah, I mean that was
what I said. Yeah,
yeah. With Max stuck behind Russell with a broken DRS, Leclerc was able to just stay out and not lose lap time.
Go very steady. Yep.
Yeah, it's a shame his engine gave out because he had run so long on that first stint. He had like all these strategy options available to him, but he actually wasn't getting pushed because Max wasn't there. And frankly,
Russell.
And frankly, none of the other drivers have the car and driver skill combination. But actually, there's a whole other issue. I think only Hamilton scares Max. I don't think he gives a crap about these other drivers.
I don't blame him.
I certainly agree with that one.
And I think it's the same. I think it's both ways. I think Hamilton, when he sees Max there's like that.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Well, I mean, they both know the other one's skilled enough to actually beat them.
Right.
None of these other drivers are in their league, so I think they know that. That's why they're all buddy with like each other. He's like, hey, my buddy Charles here, because he doesn't actually think he's good enough to beat him. I mean, that's the reality.
Right.
But so I mean, this is a track where driver can make a difference though on the qualifying lap. You can put in. It's one of those things where occasionally you'll see a driver step up and get put in a hot lap and be like, wow, great qualifying, and then by the third lap, because the car is not actually that good, they've been passed and they've lost all the positions. That didn't happen here. So if you can put in like that one killer lap, you can hold that position for the whole race. So look for some of these, better drivers, maybe in worse cars. Hamilton, Russell,
Bottas.
I mean, I don't think Bottas has the equipment under him, but you could certainly. We saw this a little bit, and you could certainly see like a Mercedes hop up into the top, 3 out of qualifying, and then unlike in Spain where they're hanging on for dear life, it doesn't matter here because they're not going to get overtaken. So
right.
So driver skill does play a part here, and obviously, anyone we mentioned earlier, Leclerc wrecked his race last year after getting pole. So anyone can make one little mistake and it's done.
Yeah,
true. Real quick on that, anybody, meteorologist Vishnu, give us a weather forecast. What's the weather forecast look like on this one? There it is.
There it is. Yeah. So there's some slight chance of showers on Saturday and Sunday. So it's kind of iffy in the afternoon, right? So that's what we're really talking about.
I like how we show our Google Doc there. That's strong, man. That's a strong word. I know. I'm just messing around. Who cares?
Yeah. So so there's not going to be any rain on Friday, which is interesting because that means if it does, rain on Saturday, that'll be their first time running in wet with these new cars.
I also think it's interesting that it's cool, right? The weather's not going to be extremely hot either.
Yeah, no, it's in the 70s and 60s. So yeah,
it's going to be important for those tires to be nice and warmed up. And I think that's going to play a factor also, especially if it rains and it's cool. That even screws things up a little bit more. So
well, this is the other thing, right? If it starts raining during the race, you're basically going to tell the driver, unless you think it's going to rain for like an extended period of time,
stay out there.
I'm sorry, stay out there on the raw tire and hold it together and don't crash.
Sure. Because
again, you cannot give up, especially if you have to go in, pit for like intermediates and then pit again to get back on slicks later. Like it's a lot of track position. So
I agree.
That'll be interesting to see, like, not just if it rains, but is it rain enough that where they just don't have a choice and they have to go onto other tires?
So before we get to predictions, because obviously that's one of the favorites here, we definitely want to move on to some of the storylines after last week's race. Look, I don't. Again, this is Drive to Survive type of drama stuff that we just happen to hear on the radio, right? And what I'm talking about is the exchange between Horner and Checo after the race ended, where you know, Horner, you know, radioed in to congratulate him, and Perez basically, and I'm just kind of giving you the gist of it or the cliff notes, but basically said, "Hey, we did good as a team, but we need to talk later." What's that all about? And I'm going to give the state to Vish first because I know he's got some strong feelings about this, but we'll let everybody kind of chime in.
Yeah, this is delusional on Checo's part, frankly. I'm sorry, you're too slow. I mean, do you want them to be mean to him? I mean, they're coming up, you're on different strategies. They were on different strategies. Max had already pitted in extra time and had already caught him and was about to pass him. So, I mean, he was running 2 seconds a lot faster. And when Max came out for, remember, first Max went for his second pit stop so he wouldn't be stuck without DRS.
Right.
He came out something like 6 to 7 seconds behind Checo. He caught him in 2 laps. Like, what are we talking about? And then Checo catches back up to because they're on different strategies. He expects to be let through. It's like, you're not getting let through. You're Checo. Like, I'm sorry. That's the reality of it. And he was too slow. He was a full pit stop behind. So he had an opportunity when Max went in for a second pit stop. No one is telling Checo to drive slow. So he has an opportunity to hold that position to a point where they have to actually make a decision. Like, let's say there's 5 laps left and he's still holding Max off. It's a lot harder to tell him, "Hey, move over," right?
Yep.
When Max pits and he's an extra pit stop behind, and there's like 25 laps left in the race, and he catches you in 2 laps when he was 8 seconds back. Like, I'm sorry, move over. What are we talking about? Like, that's not even close. And so I think the problem is he's not fast enough. It's the same thing we saw at Bottas for years. Everyone used to like get on like their pity party for Bottas about how, oh, they gave Hamilton this advantage and that advantage. I'm like, no, Bottas is slow. He's not as good. And so what they would do is they come just exactly what happened to Red Bull here. They split strategies, right?
Yeah.
And so now they're alternating, and then Max comes out in front like, oh, Max had the better strategy. No, if they had done it the other way, Max still would have won. Checo wouldn't have made Max's strategy work as well as Max did, and Max would have done better with Checo's because he's a better driver. And we don't like they always try to like work around that. They just don't want to bluntly say it. Max is a much better driver than Checo. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what strategy you give them; he's going to drive the car faster,
even without DRS.
Right? I mean, he has a broken car.
Like, come on.
I mean, he was a whole pit stop in front when Sainz and Checo took their last pit stop. They did it out of 2nd and 3rd place. That was the 3rd pit stop Max had already done.
Right.
Like, what are we talking? This was not a competitive race. Because Max is that good. Like, I mean, I don't. It's not that. This is not that complicated. Sometimes you can give the same equipment to 2 drivers, and one of them's clearly better, and that's what happened here. And I understand Checo being upset because they told him to move over, and then he wanted to have them tell Max to move over. Like, we don't tell Max to move over anyone, buddy. I don't know what you're thinking. So I understand, like, as a driver, as someone prideful, no one's in a Formula One car as a Formula One driver not thinking, "Oh, I'm the best driver on the grid." They all think that, but reality check, buddy. Like, like, I'm sorry, and I get his reaction in the moment. What I don't understand is everyone trying to like, "Oh yeah, this is a problem." No, he can go to drive for Force India or whatever he was driving for before, and they'll put someone else in that car, right? I mean. The hell are you talking about? He was literally brought in to do what he did here, which is finish second, 20 seconds behind Max because Albon and Gasly before him couldn't even get in the top 10.
Yeah.
So he did his job, but his job was never to win races because he's not good enough he's not going to win the championship. Like, if Max retired right now, would Checo go win the championship? No, Leclerc would easily. Like, what are we talking about? There's a qualitative difference in these drivers.
Yeah. Definitely. Let's move on to the next topic because I think that we're all kind of get it and agree. How many crashes during qualifying? Probably quite a bit because I think people are going to push.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. The next topic still has to do a lot with Red Bull, and I mean, listen. Does Red Bull now have to worry about not only Ferrari but Mercedes with these new upgrades? Still not as fast. I get it, but Horner voicing that concern per se of Mercedes' pace and so on and so forth. Is that real? Is that a real concern for him? Does he feel that way for real, or is this kind of just playing it the way that Christian Horner likes to play it anyways, right? Like the typical Red Bull stuff where they're gonna talk crap like that. And how does this whole dynamic work with Red Bull and Mercedes now? Kind of being a little more competitive. Is this a big deal? Is this a big man? I guess we'll go to Manny on this first.
I mean, listen, Horner knows what he's doing. He appears about 100 times on the broadcast, whether it's non-racing, racing, post-racing. So this doesn't surprise me at all. I don't, again, half of these guys, when they're talking, it's just, unless it's during the race, I mean, all this does is make us talk about it. It create clicks. And should they be worried about Mercedes? I don't think so. I mean, right now they have basically, their two cars have been absolutely great the last two races. I don't see why to think, if they really, seem to be afraid of it or whatnot. But Mercedes did fix finally the porpoising, and now they can get into the whole dialect of the car of trying to build it to make it faster, right? That part is already done. But still, to me, it's not about Mercedes and Red Bull. It's about Red Bull and Ferrari. And he's trying to deflect it without question. Of course, he knows that Mercedes is going to be on his rearview mirror, how long that he's there. But this is just another thing of, it's Monaco. Let me just, personally, right? It's Monaco. Let me just say this and whatever the case is. And if it sticks, it sticks, whatever. Like, come on. This is Horner, man. Like, this guy basically is part of the F1 broadcast now. So,
Yeah, no kidding. Nick, how do you feel about, Mercedes?
Exactly, Jack. Horner already contacted the FIA for sure, bro. Like, come on, bro. He was the first one contacting them for this damn Martin thing. And as soon as they found out that it wasn't crap worth qualifying for, okay, that's it. We're done.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to Christian Horner, he's going to try to play mind games with everybody. He's going to try to not even play mind games, but also get under your skin, because that's how he is. And
that's what Red Bull does, Nick. That's what Red Bull does.
And because he can be a real pain in the ass, and he can get under your skin and piss you off, but he's still pissed. Like, the other teams get pissed off at him, and so he's doing his job as a team principal. As far as like the media and PR and everybody talking about Red Bull, like, that's kind of, what he's trying to do, is make everyone talk about Red Bull and make everyone, say, oh, they have a feud with Ferrari. Oh, they still have a feud with Mercedes. So it's just to keep the ball rolling as far as feuds and storylines and whatnot. So him just saying this is just kind of blowing smoke into it, but I don't really see it as much other than that.
I think you make a lot of sense. I think at the end of the day, this is all for show. It's to cause a little excitement and to get the crowd and the fans going.
So I slightly disagree with that. I don't think he thinks the Mercedes is caught up to the Red Bull or anything. But I go back to what I said earlier. Hamilton is a driver that scares them. They know he can. If you put him in a car, he can beat them by himself. And that is what they're worried about. Like, whether they should be afraid of Leclerc and Ferrari or not, they're not.
And they're also
Hamilton scares them.
No longer there. So.
Well, yeah, that whole thing. Let's not pick that scab up. I'm just gonna make up a bunch of rules, and then all of a sudden, hey, Max won. It's called racing.
Oh, this is why I don't watch the last season's Netflix.
But I do think that's the legitimate concern. They know, like, if you put Hamilton. Because we were only, 6 races into the year. If at some point, even like 8 or 9 races in the year, Hamilton is in an equivalent car, he can do things like win 7 races in a row.
Yep.
So I think there is a legitimate concern that the gap has shrunk.
Ugh, I know. The guy that actually wanted up at the plate.
God. If we're speaking of the gap shrunk.
Yeah. Christian Horner strikes out.
When it comes to exactly right.
And 2K, like, can't put the ball in play.
The only person that's Max is Hamilton. So, I mean, if he's back in a competitive car where he's battling for the top 3 or top 2 every single race, then that's when it becomes a problem. Right now, it is still not a problem. Right now, he can be in like the top 5, but Red Bull knows right now they still have a faster car. Can that change? Yeah. I mean, what? There's still 17 races left to go, or no, 16 races left to go in the season. So, yeah, I mean, like like you said, if they get Hamilton's car right, he can go on a roll and win, 6, 7 races in a row and be right back in it. So it all kind of really he's like Horner is pointing this out, but to the point where he's not entirely concerned about it right now.
So Hamilton can win a race in a worse car, and that has always been their concern. That's why last year, even from the first race, like Max was like essentially trying to knock him off the track. Like that rivalry is okay. Right now, yeah, the car is not it. Hamilton is not small potatoes, the Mercedes is. Hamilton is a driver that scares him. That's why Dietrich, whatever the hell his name is, taking a shot at him when they got stuck in Imola and he got lapped. He's like, oh, he should have retired. Like, that is the guy. They're obsessed with Hamilton still. They're still talking about him. They've been talking about him all season. His results have been small potatoes, but that's who they're focused on. That's who scares them.
Yeah.
Because they know if you put that man in proper equipment, he will kick their ass. Yeah. And he kicks everyone's ass. And that is their concern. They're not worried about Leclerc.
No, but I also think what has them a little bit worried is that once again you have a DRS issue, like it seems like every race there's something going on with their car. So maybe that's something that for sure they're worried about. But again, to be worried about Hamilton and listen, Hamilton, he hasn't finished in front of Russell since the first race, correct? Since Bahrain, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, again, I'm not going to buy this whole thing if they're worried about it or whatnot. To me, they have to be more worried about trying to fix their small things that are happening during qualifiers, during races, because man, hearing Max Verstappen bitch on the damn mic, it's like a father and son type of deal. And it's like, man, like if you're one of his, freaking crew members and you're trying to figure out things during a race and you hear that, I don't know, man. At some point, I just want to put it on mute.
I don't think that's ever going to change, regardless of whether they fix it or not.
So I will just say this is not just him. This is what all the drivers do. And when you're at the front, they put you on. They did this to Hamilton for years. They would just play his radio messages. And he's the 7-time world champion who has trouble beating that sorry ass Luck into third place every time driver. There's no doubt that Hamilton's a better driver than Russell. I'm sorry, that's an absurd statement. No Look, problem. I'm sorry that there's not even a question at this point. No, maybe Russell's years away from there.
Obviously, career-wise, yes.
Look, I don't want to have this debate again, but the idea that you guys tried to pretend like it was brilliant strategy in Miami when he didn't get out of Q2 and fell to the back of the field, so he just didn't pit and got a safety car, and you're like, great job. Like, come on. Like, this has become a farce with you guys, but I mean, he doesn't need to beat Russell. He's not worried about Russell. Russell's a 2-bit driver. He's worried about Max. They're all worried about each other. They're looking at each other.
He's a 2-bit driver.
Yeah. He's not in the league of Hamilton. Hamilton's not looking at Russell and feeling threatened. What are you kidding me?
In the league of Lewis Hamilton, skill wise,
Yeah, he's not worried about Russell. He's not. So I don't know why we're talking about that. Like he's Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, I know that. But at the same time, as far as just the team goes and how they've performed so far this year, Russell has been coming up with the better results.
Yeah. Not through better driving now. Again, it would be one thing if they're going on pace. We're not doing this again. No, if you think fluking into safety car,
this is good radio or good.
Well, no, but it's too much of this. All I'll say is, look. All I'm going to say about this is, you can look at data and pace analysis, and Hamilton has been driving faster consistently. So I don't. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Moving on.
There's data.
Before we get into predictions, the last thing, which I think is still is a very important topic, should we be concerned with the reliability issues after this weekend's DNF by Leclerc with that new power unit? What's going on with that? Is that going to be a big issue, do you think? Are we kind of headed again towards disappointment for Ferrari? Or is this something that could be fixed obviously they've got the pace, right? They've got the cars and they've got the speed to compete still. But it's going to be a matter of, is it going to be a matter of reliability now again? What's going on with that? What is it a major concern for Ferrari? We'll start with you, Manny.
I don't think it is. I mean, yes, he didn't finish the race. He had a new power unit, but Ferrari to me, they showed enough for me to feel more confident. Yes, I know. Again, he didn't finish the race, but without question, the Charles Leclerc's upgrades to his car. Again, they got the tires. They actually did really, really good job on Sunday. That was the one thing though that had me worried. But I'm not gonna take it as if, oh my God, Ferrari should be nervous because of a new power unit and it just broke down. No, I absolutely not. Now, if it happens consecutive, if this Sunday something happens with the power unit again, okay, because I do understand this. With a new power unit comes, especially with upgrades, correct? There's new parts that get combined in and inserted, and if something goes wrong, guess what? The whole thing has to go back to the original spots or whatever. But again, I don't think Ferrari has an issue. I don't think they're worried, and they shouldn't be. If their mechanic did it right, I mean, listen, Charles Leclerc should be up there without question. And if he's not, then okay, then we could probably have this talk again. But no, Ferrari's fine. It's their other driver that I feel like they should be. At some point, man, you got to help your team out, man. You got to help your team out. Checo was carrying Max when Max was not finishing races earlier in the season, still getting points, right? At some point, I feel like Carlos Sainz just has to just drive better, man. We know what he's capable of. Vish even said it, and we know this, right? He was first last year over him. Ferrari needs that driver again. They need that confident driver again. And right now, Carlos Sainz is driving, a little bit, chaotic a little bit. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. And you think with the new contract that he'd have a little less stress on him, right?
Absolutely.
And it's the opposite though. It looks like he's kind of pressing too much.
Yeah.
Nick, what's your sense on Ferrari and what's going on with them?
I mean, Manny kind of nailed it on the head as far as their power unit. Like, I'm not really worried about their reliability issues. They haven't really shown me throughout the year that's been an issue. So I think we'll probably see it fixed this weekend. If it's not, then we can bring it up again. But it's been more like about their strategy issues as far as like with Leclerc going into like the first 4 or 5 races going up against Max. That's like some of the questions strategically have been kind of Ferrari's downfall for like the first couple races. But I think that, with Ferrari, the bigger concern is, can Carlos Sainz finish in, the top 3 or 4 consecutively? Can he pick up Leclerc if Leclerc is having a bad day, or if he has a DNF like in Barcelona? Can he, pick up the slack and help the team? And so far, he's been pretty shaky on that end. Yeah. And if he can't even bring that up, or if he can't, bring up his pace and, be up in the top 3 consecutively or fighting for a podium spot every race, with Ferrari's expectations right now, then maybe they should reconsider that contract that they offered him.
Before I get to you on this Ferrari deal, I'll answer really quick. Jack Dan is regarding the wind gusts. I've never heard that as an excuse. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an issue for not only Sainz though, but it was an issue for Max also. That's what aided in the spin out, right? It was a bit of a gust there.
And the back tires gave out.
And the back tires, of course, the back tires as well. But yeah, it was a definite.
I don't know.
I mean, they both said it, right? They both mentioned it, and it was a big deal for a lot of
To Jack's point, I've been watching this sport a long time. I've never even heard of this nonsense.
You ever heard of wind affecting a car?
Wind affects the car. These are the best drivers in the world. They handle it. To lose the car completely because of a wind gust. Do you understand if that happened, how often drivers would crash? Like everyone would be Latifi. Like it's not like it's probably a combination.
I don't know. I don't think it's that far fetched, though. I really don't think that it's that far fetched. Regardless of whether you're the best in the world or not, the best in the world always fail. The best in the world always have issues. It could have happened. I'm not saying that it's probable, but I don't see it as far fetched as maybe you guys do.
I
That's just my
don't
opinion.
believe that wind gusts caused those spins. I think
I'm
they
not
lost
saying
the
it
car.
caused it, but I'm saying that it could have been.
At least for
Part
Max,
of-
though,
part
he
of
had
the
lost
issue.
control a little bit before the turn. Like if you see the replay, he's basically already battling it, right? So I'm not sure if wind gusts had anything to do with him. Maybe with signs, though.
I think when it comes to signs, is that Max spun out the same way, but still managed to have a better performance in a much worse car, and that's pretty damning to Signs because Signs had he spun out and he was able to get back up into like the top 3, top 4, but then he couldn't advance past that. And that's an issue because he has a better car. He had a better car than Mercedes, or he should have a better car than Mercedes. Like he should be able to pass them.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he didn't, is a bit concerning for Ferrari, especially when they have their car.
Vish, are you concerned about Ferrari's reliability or not really?
So it's Ferrari. They always screw stuff up. Like they're just so chaotic. They're not really capable of doing things under control. And I think we're seeing that again here. Like in Imola, they pulled in Leclerc to try and like play with the strategy, and he crashed.
The fastest
You recall like in qualifying, he spun his first lap.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just always like on edge for it's like a Ferrari thing. They're never clean. They're always like all over the place, and
they're never satisfied.
Yeah, it was bad strategy calls, or it's the driver's like Leclerc is definitely mistake prone, or it's a reliability issue, or they put an illegal engine in there and cheat. Like whatever it is, there's always some weird thing going on. Where I mean, I think at this point, even though we talked about Max complaining, but like I said, all the drivers complain. It's just that he's at the front now, so we get all of his radio messages. It used to be Hamilton. We're like, why is this guy bitch all the time? We didn't hear from him after he said, you should just retire the car, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's in fifth. What happened? Like they didn't play any of his radio messages, right? I'm sure the whole time he's like, these tires are gone. It's normal. He's probably playing the greatest hits on the radio. They just didn't play him because he's back in 10th, right? And so now we get all of Max's messages, and it looks like he's complaining all the time. They're all doing that. You know what? He's right. DRS is a little flap that opens. That should never break.
It's no power unit. It's no tire.
Yeah. We've had DRS for like a decade. I've never heard the flap not opening.
I have never seen this.
So it's just
I have never seen it like do this before.
Yeah, no, it was obviously malfunctioning.
My god! And then they had the issue during qualifying, and Anui said they fixed it, and they're like, we don't know what really happened.
Yeah, and the other thing with that though, with the DRS is since they know they have it, they set up the cars with more downforce because they know on the straight I'm going to have this device to help me pass. If they knew there was no DRS, they would have put more down. They would have taken some downforce off the car, and he still would have passed him.
Right.
But he's basically set up so that the optimal passing setup on his car is with DRS on and the wing setup. So he got double screwed basically. Because it was supposed to compensate. So he was complaining a lot, but what you see from Red Bull is they control that race. They even told Checo, move out of the way. We're going to get 1-2 and Max is 1.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to talk after the race, we will, but we're handling this.
Yeah.
And with Ferrari, it's always chaotic. It's always chaotic. And that would be my bigger concern because they just got to be calm and just like, this is a Ferrari track. They should control this race.
Some same thing happens to my full screen today.
I love you, Jack.
I love it. This guy's awesome.
My
This
full
guy's a
screen
trip.
short.
Yeah, right. From just flopping it down.
Yeah, it is the wind gust. It was the wind. The wind was blowing the DRS shut.
The wind gust wouldn't let the flap go.
Gust of wind took it down.
Mac, press the button softly once after the turn.
He was pressing it like 8 times. I can't do it.
It will work.
All right, really quick before
No,
we
it was
get
like
into-
set it to position 7 right after this thing. Tap twice, say 3 Hail Marys, it'll open. Trust me.
All right, check this out. Before we get into predictions, let's go over the schedule real quick. Friday's schedule is the same as I think it's the same as last week, right? An 8 o'clock FP1, 8 in the morning for FP1. Then you've got FP2 at 11 a.m. on Friday. Then as you turn to Saturdays, FP3 is at 7 in the morning. And then you got qualifying at 10 a.m. So you've got those 2 days. Qualifying is at 10 a.m. Make sure you guys are watching that because I think that's going to be this is one of the most important qualifying races that there is on the circuit. So and then of course May 29th, which is that Sunday, you get the race at 9 a.m. So 9 a.m.
I miss races at 3 o'clock.
Well, you're not gonna get many more of those. So
I know. I'm not gonna And yet everybody complain, 1 a.m. out here in Australia. I'm like, come on.
Oh, shut up.
You freaking get that shit every day at 12 p.m. Come on.
Oh, God. All right, let's talk predictions here. We're going to go Nick, Manny, and Vish, and then myself. As you guys know, as you guys can see, we're missing a piece of the pit crew, but we'll get her predictions tomorrow, and we'll definitely tweet that out or talk about it a little bit after the post race on the post race show as well. Nick, what do you got? Give me. Come on.
All right. So I'll go with Leclerc 1 because this is the track that should suit them because they're just better in the tight corners. So I say Leclerc. He'll win at his home track and he'll get all the pomp and circumstance. And then I'll say Max 2, and then I'll say Hamilton 3.
Did you just copy what Fernando said on the?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't even look at this.
What's
feel
his?
like Nick
I
has
mean,
a
you did,
computer.
but you didn't.
Yeah, no, I did, but I really didn't.
I mean, Hamilton knows this track like the back of his hand,
All
and
right.
he won at this track several years in a row.
He did have the fastest lap last year as well. So
All it takes is for Lewis Hamilton to have one good lap to be like fighting for the top 3.
I agree. What's your surprise?
My surprise, I will say, I'll say Bottas gets into the top. I'll say he finishes 4th.
Bottas 4th. Interesting. Okay. Manny, what do you got?
Vish, you might want to cover your ears, all right?
Oh,
God.
Okay, I'm kidding. Wow. Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell.
Jesus Christ.
Surprise, Gasly, top 5.
Okay.
That's better than your freaking Pete, than your top 3.
Bro, I got your guy finishing 1. What the fuck?
Whatever. Vish, at this point.
Well, I mean, it's clearly
I'm numb by it.
It's Russell 1, Russell 2, Russell 3.
That's
Russell
more like it, baby.
Russell top 4 as my surprise.
That's
and
more like
actually Russell 0 because he's gonna go so fast
fastest
that
lap.
he's
Fastest.
gonna go in front of the rest of the field so
And
much that they have to reclass.
And if there was a
Hamilton
sprint
finishing
race,
ahead.
Russell would finish on top on the sprint as well.
George
Yeah,
Russell is the
exactly.
winner. George Russell.
So seriously, I got Max winning, Checo 2nd, and I'll go. I just don't trust Ferrari. I'll go Hamilton 3rd.
It's changed, huh?
Wait. So Ferrari, don't worry then, you bitch. Right?
But
He did
Huh?
say it.
Can't give him
He did say
credit.
it worked. Yeah.
Ferrari does worry bitch then.
Yeah. I think
Wait,
he said
that's what I said.
yeah, he
Well,
said that.
That he
Well,
can't.
Were you watching the Canes game too? What happened there?
No.
Man? That's exactly what I just went through. I was like, Ferrari's too chaotic, and they screw everything up.
I keep getting some heat messages from 5 Reason people, and I haven't been reading.
God.
I don't want to know what's going on.
What's your surprise, Vish? Your hot take surprise here.
George Russell 5th.
Well, theoretically, since he finishes top 5 every race, that wouldn't be the surprise, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I
think you're gonna go Bottas here.
I was looking at the AlphaTauris.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So is Tsunoda beating Gasly in the top 10 a surprise enough, or?
You could say Gasly. You could say Yuki finishes ahead of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is Yuki finishing ahead of Gasly being no surprise?
I mean,
all right, I'll
Yuki leads Gasly in points by 5. So
okay, then no. So the answer's no. Then obviously, All right, so I'll go with something else. I'll go with all right. Here's one.
Oh, Aston
Both
Martin.
both Williams
Oh no!
finish ahead of the Haas's.
Woo! Williams
Latifi ahead of. Oh my
ahead.
God, no way.
Head of
Wait,
Mick.
wait. That means they're not going to crash then.
I don't understand. Like, this was supposed to be a surprise pick. Like, you're like, I cannot believe you picked that. As if like the whole point was not supposed to be a surprise.
Wow.
It's supposed to be a low probability pick, right? That's the point of that pick.
I like that. All right.
So I wanted to do something interesting other than so I went that route.
Okay.
By the way, guys, do we remember the F2 driver that drove for the Williams for practice on Friday? I forgot his name. What was his name?
De Vries, no, De Vries.
Yeah,
De Vries.
Yeah, De Vries. He actually finished ahead of Latifi. And I was like, man, if there's anything more embarrassing ever for this guy, bro, that might have two drivers just come in here and beat you on the practice runs.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Jack, get out of my head. God, hey, you ruined it for me too. I actually want to say the same as Nick, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna go Leclerc. God, this sucks. I'm gonna go Leclerc, Max, and I'm gonna say, damn it.
Just say science.
No, I'm not gonna say science because I just don't trust him. But screw it. Since I wanted to go Hamilton, I'll go science. Science is my third.
I do predict though for Lando Norris to finish once again ahead of Daniel Ricciardo.
I mean, pretty much been doing that all year.
I know. That's what
Can I give you a good one? I'm gonna go Vettel top 5 as my shocker.
Oh, you copying?
So you're probably listening to Jack and Fernando.
Finishing the top 5 every time he's been there.
What do you say? Jack, get out of my head was just about.
Yeah, Jack said. Remember, he's top 5 every time he's finished, and
yeah, you probably read that.
Top 5 every time he's finished a Monaco race. I didn't even know that. All right.
Well, let's see if the weather though definitely changes a couple things. Who knows?
All right. Vettel top 5. If you want me to change it, I'll freaking change it if you want me to. I don't care.
I really don't.
So wait. Are we trying to argue that Austin in the top 5 is not a big enough surprise?
That is a pretty big surprise.
Aston Bull.
Because
you know what? I'm gonna change it.
Wait, no, that.
Oh, it's good. It's a good pick.
I wonder what odds you could get right now on Vettel in the top 5. Man, put $10 on it, you'll make like $1 million. Like,
Jack,
I don't know what we're talking about.
Jack, you look like the gambling man. Let me know what the odds are there for.
Yeah, what are the odds of Vettel? It's probably a longer shot than anything else we picked as a surprise.
If $25 gets me like $100K, I'm throwing it down wherever I got to figure that out. All right. Because that would be pretty awesome if he did. And if they're fast, like they're supposed to be, then maybe it won't be that much of a surprise. Oh, you know what? Really quick, what we didn't show. Let's show the standings one more time before we get out of here. So let's see. That's it after the race. Yeah, he's too busy cleaning up garbage to be on the simulators. All right, so which one's this one? Okay, this is the driver standings as Max. You got Max, Charles Leclerc, Sergio, you got Checo, then George Russell, and Sainz round out the top 5. But listen, Lewis Hamilton can have a really nice showing and kind of climb up a little bit. Lando, I was gonna say Lando finishes in the top 5, but I'll stick with Vettel. I think Lando has an opportunity to have a nice race as well. And then you've got Bottas, Esteban Ocon, and Magnussen rounding out the top 10. Let's look at the constructors real quick, as we know that looks like Red Bull took somewhat of a commanding lead there, but things could turn around in one race because if they finish P1 and P2 or something like that, that could. However, I think we've all kind of said that Red Bull, if Ferrari has a bad showing here, they can really start running away with it. So you got Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, Alfa Romeo, and then you've got the rest of the field with Alpine, AlphaTauri, Haas dropping considerably, Aston Martin, and then Williams in the back. in the bottom, I guess. In the bottom.
I mean, Haas is basically living off those points off the first race. They've been
definitely
pretty terrible for a while now. That continued in the last race, and they don't have any upgrades.
And I don't think they're going to get. I mean, they're not going to get any better for at least 4 or 5 more races until they bring their upgrades, which they might. I
mean, if you think there's actual upgrades coming, I don't know what to tell you.
And then also, like, I don't think
true.
I don't think by that time, guys, it would even matter.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it doesn't matter now.
It doesn't matter now.
It doesn't matter now. Like,
yeah.
But I did want to ask you, Vish, and I think Nick, if you guys want, what's going on with McLaren, man? Like, we saw them struggle in the beginning.
They brought in some
got the
upgrades
car
this
to work
time,
a little bit, and now it just feels like it's definitely right off the pace. I'm not even want to talk about Ricardo because without question, it's been like Lando Norris has been like basically the most consistent one. So what's really going on there?
I just think, for some reason, I think Ricardo doesn't really have the fight in him anymore that he used to have. I think
this game's over.
I think for him, like, I don't know. I feel like he's just going through the motions of the season. I don't know if
the season just started though. So what was the point?
I don't know. I just feel like he just lost confidence after a few races, and he's like, screw this or screw it. I'll just go out there and try to get in the top 10 every race. If I don't, I don't.
Screw you, Jack.
Yeah.
What is this, bro? Other side of Merck's new floor includes 2 holes so they can help with their feet.
Oh my
God.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. Vish, please help me out here. Knowledgeable, like McLaren.
I mean, it's kind of where you expect it to be. It's not as good as Ferrari, Red Bull, or Mercedes. Better than the rest of them. I'm not really. That's where it is right now. I mean, it's one of the reasons they went to the Honda engines and then didn't work at all was they knew if they're using someone else's engine, they're not going to be competing at the top. And that's the reality of it. When they won championships as McLaren, Mercedes was not in Formula One. They were Mercedes.
They were.
You're just not going to compete with the team with their own engine. So the reality is this is the best they're going to be able to do is finish 4th. And that's where they are.
It for tonight, my friends. Make sure you keep it locked here on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, smash the like button, check us out at Hitting the Apex. On Twitter, it's at F1_5 Reasons, and on Instagram at Hitting the Apex 5R. Make sure you check us out there. Give us a follow. Make sure you engage with us there. We'll always have some pretty good content going on there, as well as the post-race show, which will be about 15-20 minutes after the race ends.
11:30 a.m. Baby.
Yeah, about 11:30 or so. We'll have the post-race shows. We do a short recap on the Monaco Grand Prix, and then we kind of move forward and we get ready for the next one. But make sure you guys check us out. I mean, Manny, Nick, Vish, great job tonight, guys.
Jack, you gotta talk to Moni. We did not throw her out. She
had some family stuff. She had
stuff to do. So yeah.
So, but we'll be back at it on Sunday night. I'm sorry, Sunday afternoon after. Well, Sunday, I guess Sunday morning, really after the race. So
we're elbow deep in the European schedule of 8 or 9 a.m. start times, and
it's on now. It's on
their
now.
next good race like at 12 noon, isn't it? Montreal, right?
Yeah, I think Canada is in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So
I'll be a little bit of sleeping at least.
We'll have some fun with that one. See you guys later, and thanks for checking us out on Hitting the Apex. See you guys on Sunday afternoon. Laters.